what ended up happening was the show ended. We moved here to Coney Island out at the beach, and I basically sat and talked to the ocean for a couple of years and started to heal up. And once I was strong enough, I undertook a pretty rigorous course of self exploration. And I want to say I didn't do that willingly, it just started happening. Um, Through meditation, through dialogue with the ocean. And that sounds crazy, but I talk to the ocean quite a bit.
Welcome to All Can, No Can't, the podcast where we toss out excuses, face our fears, and reclaim control. I'm Jeff Luther, your guide to mastering the chaos and turning obstacles into opportunities. Whether you're an entrepreneur navigating the ups and the downs of building a successful business, or someone ready to rewrite the rules of your life, this is your space to grow, to push boundaries, and to embrace doing the hard shit that leads to greatness. Together, we'll explore stories of resilience, strategies for overcoming, and the mindset shifts that let you build a life on your terms. I use my experience with a life-altering diagnosis to help you find the can in every can't. So buckle up, because it's time to stop living in can't and start thriving in all can. You choose. Welcome back to All Can, No Can't. I'm your host, Jeff Luther, and this is where we find the opportunities in the obstacles. Today's episode is about the gap between the life that the world applauds and then the life you actually wake up inside of. My guest today, who I'm so excited to talk to, is a four-time Emmy winner. She's the creator of Talk Stoop, a show that became kind of a cultural staple. On the outside, she had everything that most people spend a lifetime chasing. She had the success, the visibility, access to celebrities, the fun stuff that we all dream about. But behind the scenes, she was fighting a different battle. Addiction, escape, shame, and the kind of quiet unraveling that happens when your inner world stops matching your outer life. Now Kat's the founder of Soberness, a movement built on radical honesty and one core promise: freedom from fuckery. Such a fun word, but here we're not talking about it in that cute hashtag sense, but the real gritty daily work of not numbing out, not running away, not abandoning yourself for the comfort of a quick escape. So this conversation is going to be amazing. Kat brings truth, she brings depth, and she brings the kind of clarity that only comes from walking through those hard parts of being a human. Kat, let's dive in.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on your show. So cool.
For sure. Thank you so much. And thank you twofold. One, thanks for the time. Thanks for being here, right? I appreciate that. And also thank you for being vulnerable. Like, I think what you're doing is a great thing, and sometimes that's really hard. So thank you.
Thanks for saying so. Yeah, it's a funny thing. I don't share ever actually in meetings, in recovery meetings, except the ones that I bring in prison, which is kind of my favorite side hustle. But I share a lot on the show. I think sometimes it's a little easier for me when there's a remove kind of. So what we're doing here, this very intimate thing, is actually a bit harder than doing the show.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, I've grown up in broadcast. I've been on air for 30 years, right? So
Yeah.
for me, that's the comfortable place, is when everyone else is out there, and
Right.
and I'm used to talking to everyone else out there. It's the face to face that can be harder.
Yeah, I get that. It never even occurred to me, because a lot of people are so fearful of being in front of an audience. So sometimes
Right.
this is easier. You're the opposite.
Yep. Like
Okay.
everything in my life, I always end up on the opposite side of like what's supposed to happen. For
Like
better and for worse, I guess.
the Seinfeld episode where Costanza did opposite day. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
Do the opposite.
My God. Yeah, that's so funny.
Um,
Yes, that's my life.
okay, well, I've been so curious. Like when I started researching to the show notes for the show. So my first question, kind of going right into it, and I can get background on any of this if you want, but do you think people were born with like addict wiring, or does life shape us into this?
Yes, on all. And that used to be my obsession, was I born this way? No, let me rewind. I know I was born an alcoholic. I knew from the time I heard about alcohol that I wanted in, and I just knew it. And so, lo and behold, it happened. But once I really got into recovery and started thinking about this ism of mine, and asking different people and my own guests on the show and just people in the rooms, uh, I have come to believe it's all of it. Some people are wired without the addictive gene. Lucky them. Other people have it, and like any gene, it can be dormant, it can be latent, it can be not inspired to get to come out. Um, Tragedies obviously can lead somebody to being an addict. And by the way, the substances are addictive. So, if you should just happen into alcohol and you've got that wiring, it's a bad combo. Or other things, thank God I wasn't into other things that were more addictive.
Yeah.
But it does bite you, those things bite you, and now you're an addict. So I think your life experiences can shape you into using, and also whether or not you're going to be a problem user depends on your wiring. That's my non-scientific opinion.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that you phrase it that way, because I always think that the experience opinion is much more accurate than the scientific opinion.
Right. Listen, it's always good to. I'm just actually. I'm just starting. I'm going back to school, and I'm excited to actually like learn things. But I am 53 years old. I also know a lot of things. I have a gut and I have experience behind me, and so I think the marriage of the two, fact and gumption, are a good combo.
Yeah, experience is the best teacher. What are you going back to school for? That's exciting.
It is. So actually today is the first day that I started. So like I said, I've been bringing recovery meetings into prisons, and it is the work I've loved the most in my life. Gosh, I feel so many different things about it. Mostly, I am very concerned with how people recover after they have caused great harm.
Oh,
There's, a legion out there studying and supporting people who have survived great harm, and that is obviously really important, the most necessary. For whatever reason, opposite day, I can't stop thinking about the people who've caused great harm. Imagine in your addiction, in a crazy psychotic episode, you take the life of your child or your family member or a stranger, and then you sober up, and now what? And now what? And I don't believe God keeps us on this planet to make us suffer every minute of every day. I think it's a learning planet. And so that's my interest, and my passion is these women their world is nothing like ours. And most of the women in my group are mothers. Can you imagine being a parent away from your child, and how do you live another day? So that's what I'm interested in, and that's what I'm going to study. So I'm studying forensic mental health counseling.
oh wow. So fascinating. And I have so many questions around that, and I'm like I have the attention span of like a 2-month-old puppy.
Okay.
So I go
I can.
so I go, all right, so now well, let me ask you this. Is part of what you're doing, and you're obviously very inspired by this or driven, or I'm guessing you get a lot of fulfillment from
Yes.
taking this to prisons.
Yep.
Is and
Yep.
and you so you had pretty big loss too as a result. I mean, you lost a great show. So I guess
Yes.
there's parallels.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, anytime your identity gets changed like that, um, is traumatic. And, from a lot of these women, their lives were traumatic leading up to their addictions, which then became its own kind of trauma and then caused the ultimate trauma, right? So their trauma is really magnified. Mine was plenty big for my life. My show was like my kid. Uh, I
Yeah.
have two sons. The show was born in between them. And so, yeah, it was not great. It wasn't great. But on the bright side, I had been running for my whole life and never able to sit still, sit with myself. I was sure there was something pretty evil and stinky in there, and I just didn't want to be anywhere near it. So I was working 28 hours a day. I was doing every extracurricular thing in my life I could do. I was, and that is no way to live. And I was burning out. And I was really depressed for the year leading up to losing my job. I was exhausted. So what ended up happening was the show ended. We moved here to Coney Island out at the beach, and I basically sat and talked to the ocean for a couple of years and started to heal up. And once I was strong enough, I undertook a pretty rigorous course of self exploration. And I want to say I didn't do that willingly, it just started happening um, through meditation, through dialogue with the ocean. And that sounds crazy, but I talk to the ocean quite a bit. And this might take you by surprise, through using marijuana. I'm sober from
Ah,
alcohol, not
right.
marijuana. And although I don't use it very often, during that period I did quite a bit because I needed it. I needed help getting through that dark night of the soul. And it was a real teacher for me. And I'm so grateful to it because it showed me things and it gave me the strength I needed to face myself. So, when people lose their jobs or something bad happens, they say, and then it ended up being the best thing to ever happen.
Right.
I don't know about that. No, I mean, except to say that there is no other option. No matter what befalls us,
Yeah.
we must make it the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
There is no other option.
Yeah.
We have to turn it into a positive. Well, for me, there's no other option because, for me, then it's a real defeat. Oh, you took away my job and my commitment to a happy, great life? No, you don't get to double win, And
Right.
and so that's what happened. That's my story.
Yeah. So a couple of things out of that. Now to hear it, like if I'm just a listener and I'm listening to you, it sounds romantic. I sat and I talked to the ocean. I found myself from someone that's been there. It's scary. It's scary to get honest with yourself. For me.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. You kidding? I hated it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, that I guess I was trying to kind of wade into that. Like, how did you feel about that? That's scary. That's scary shit. Like, oh
It was
man,
terrible.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, how did it go for you? Not well, right? Like, it's not good.
no, not good, not good. But the thing about that is, you those are old chapters. You can rewrite the story. That
That, and also the only way out really is through. It,
yeah,
you cannot outrun yourself. And
yeah,
I spent a lifetime outrunning myself. Um, as a little guy, I was super depressed. Before anybody had depression, I was such a trendsetter. I mean, before it was cool, I suffered from depression, and at 9 or whatever. And once I saw how not well that was going in the world, I just like shut it down and decided to just like be happy. And then when I stopped drinking 12 years ago, I didn't do any work behind it. I just stopped drinking. And I was like, I'm not going to think about alcohol, And then I lose my job, and truly, for the first couple of years, I couldn't even think about it. I just so by the third year of sitting on the beach, it became very evident that I could not outrun myself. That
mm,
these steel trap blinders that I'd had on for so long were not going to serve me anymore, even though I
yeah,
wanted them to. They
yeah,
weren't going to serve me anymore. And so I know it sounds so ridiculous, but I have so much gratitude to the ocean. I have so much gratitude to my dogs. I have so much gratitude to THC, to and for me, my spirits, my spiritual posse,
right, yeah,
and
yeah,
then also my husband and my sons. I am. It took a village to pull me through that dark night of the soul. And the truth is, I do feel better now. It is the best thing that happened. I never used to be able to just sit with myself, even just sit down like this, like I'm talking to you. I would have
yeah,
been fidgeting. I would have been running all over the place. I've now faced the uglies. I have faced the uglies, and I was right. There is something festering and disgusting in there, alongside something that's amazing. That's the good stuff too.
right, yeah. The bright light, and there's no light without darkness, no happy without sad. All the things, right?
Right. That's it. And that's really important. I used to poo-poo statements like that, but the truth is you must have both. Well, anyway, you have both, whether you
Yeah.
want it or not. You have both experiences. There's nobody who's on just an upward trajectory for their whole lives, and things just get better and better and better until you die of, orgasmic happiness. That's not how it goes. If you stick around this planet long enough, like the tides of the ocean, goes in and out and up and down.
For real. And we talk about, like you talk about, there's no option but to go through it. And one of the things that I've talked about a lot, even on this show, like I've had folks that you cancer survivors, cancer thrivers is what I prefer to call them.
What you call them? What? Cancer
Cancer
survivors?
thrivers.
I love it.
Yeah, I
Love it.
mean, it's like shit. You're not. It doesn't look like you're surviving to me. You're thriving. Like it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Right. Well, talk about people who are really grateful for it all.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've cheated death that way,
Right.
it's exciting.
Yeah, I love the scorecard. It's like 1-0.
Yeah.
Death is 0.
Yeah. Exactly. At that point, you've really faced everything. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What was your Dark Night of the Soul about?
Oh man, it was death. Like it was sudden cardiac death, a diagnosis that followed, a marriage that unraveled, and like left me in a place that I had to figure out not who I was. Like we asked that question, oh my gosh, who am I? Because I didn't want to go there. It was, who am I becoming? And like pursuant to what you just talked about, you have to go through it. I like to remember that pain. And for me, like there was a time, like life got really, really long for me for a little while. I think you'll probably pick up on that. Almost too long. But there was a time where the best 2 seconds of my day were when I woke up in the morning and I didn't know what I was going through. And I hope I never forget those 2 seconds, ever.
Yeah.
Not because I love to suffer, but I love to know those 2 seconds exist in the world that I'm in now. Like, I just don't know how great I've got it
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
I have that
Well,
comparison.
yeah, that's good. Never forget.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's you try to stay close to it, and a lot of people ask, and when I was in it, like I was more in tune, I was more patient, I was more empathetic, and I don't ever want to be there again. But it
Right.
was like now it's just commonplace. I realized the change as I was
Yeah.
making it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's great.
Um, so would you say like when did you first feel the instinct to escape? Was that long before the substances entered the picture and they just helped, or the
Oh, that's a
alcohol
good
really?
question. Yeah. Yep. That is how I'm wired
Yeah.
to want to escape. Um,
Huh. But you have such a great
and
personality. It's so funny. Like the world needs more of you, right?
thank you. I don't know I think I was a very feeling kid, right? Like I felt a lot of things, really
Uh,
a lot. And there's not totally a lot of room for that in the world.
yeah.
And so I think I realized like better to be on my own inside where I'm comfortable as opposed to trying to like tamp it down for the general
Hmm.
public. um, and maybe that gave rise to wanting to get the F out of it all. um,
Yeah.
and thank you for saying that about personality, but the truth is that's also armor. Um, you know, one develops great strategies to keep the world at bay by overlighting other people.
Oh, meaning like,
Meaning, if I come in with energy and questions, and why do you think I'm an interviewer? Because so I don't have to answer the questions. I ask them because it's
turn
a
the
power move,
light,
right?
turn the light on someone else.
Yep, yep.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that way I can be around people, but not have to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Although here I am, doing the show that I'm doing now, and there is a lot of vulnerability there, which is, I can't believe it myself. But, so not to be so cynical and say it's all calculated. I'm just saying I believe that my personality muscle developed in a defensive stance.
Got you. You developed that personality muscle as a result of trying to deflect.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. That's what feels real to me. But again, I'm 53 years old. Like, I don't even know anymore if what I remember is really real or if it's what I think happened or whatever.
Yes,
Like,
I think about that too, and I've never said that out loud. Thank you for saying that out
yeah,
loud. Holy shit. Yeah.
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 And we tell ourselves stories. Life is just the stories you tell yourself, right?
That's right.
So,
Yep.
and then you remember the photographs. You remember what your mom said. So, uh, which is a blessing and a curse. But the blessing side is, well, if your life is the stories that you tell yourself, great. Tell yourself the good ones.
That's
Tell
right.
yourself the ones
Yeah.
that keep you in connection with people. Tell yourself the ones that aren't jaded. Tell yourself the stories that make you like yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Beliefs turn to things, right? Choose the good ones.
Why not? Why not? And
Yeah.
that's why I don't mind losing my memory much as I get older, because like, I can't remember. I didn't need to. 'Cause, it was probably not a happy moment anyway. So out that goes. Memory's like a file cabinet to me. And oh, it's getting too crowded. Let's just get rid of some of the unused files and remember the
Yeah.
good stuff.
Let's get the tattered papers out of there.
Who needs them?
When did you, and you may not have realized, but if you did, when did you realize that success was not gonna save you?
Hmm.
'Cause,
That's
I
a
mean,
great
you
question.
had it, like right, like you had it. You had the
Yeah.
life that people want. I mean, you may not have felt that way, but on the outside, all of us looking in, it looked
Yeah, I hear
glamorous.
that. Um, yes, but let's see. How can I address that? I'm very ambitious, and so I never could settle into
Mm,
success. Also, in your 30s, 40s, those aren't, at least for us, they weren't settled times. They were building times.
yeah.
And when we're building, it's hard to feel calm and at least for me, because I just wanted to make things happen. I wanted to start this business, that business. TalkStoop was sort of its own business within a giant company, which was hard. So I didn't think of it as success at the time,
Huh.
but I did think it was cool. And when I noticed that it wasn't going to bring all the gifts that I thought, was when the same group of kids that I knew in high school, who like I always wanted them to take me really seriously and think I was as shiny as they were, when I was super at the top of my game and they still didn't think that, I was like, oh, well, I guess it doesn't do everything for you. It's not a magical elixir. Like, these people still don't think I'm as smart and funny as they are. So, oh well, success. Thanks for nothing.
Wow. Yeah, it's so fascinating. Now, not most, a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from what I call like the hedonic treadmill, right? Well, when I interview this person, then I've made it. Well, when I interview this person, then I've
Oh,
made it. Did that happen to
yeah.
you? Like the bar keeps going up?
No, I don't have that. I never had that. I don't have limits like that. For me, it was just like keep going until I die. Like that
Yes.
was
Wow.
the so yeah. So sitting on the beach really helped me to be into my life now,
Yeah.
and the things that I'm doing, I'm actually enjoying in the moment. It's like chewing and savoring the food and getting the flavor and being a good dinner companion. That's the way my relationship to life now, as opposed to before. There was like, all right, eat on the run, more, and go, 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 and
Yeah.
uh, I always say that I wish I was able to learn my life's lessons without devastation. I wish I was able to learn them without all the fuckery that goes along with being an alcoholic and how much you fuck over other people. But that's not how it went down for me. And so now that I've sort of eaten of the apple, of what it feels like to be calm in the world and present for people. I can't uneat that apple, you know.
Yeah.
I know this was actually the goal, to be able to sit and be. That was always my goal. Like that's when you asked what the bar was. That I wondered when I was going to be happy like that, and I am. Thank God, I'm happy to report that I'm happy like that.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
Did you know
yeah,
that
like
though? Did you have that wherewithal when you were in it? When you were in it, you were grinding it out. The
yes,
20-hour weeks. Did you
yes. No,
did you?
I knew that I wasn't calm or happy or settled. I could feel that.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and I knew that that was what I wanted, but I had no idea how to get there. And by the way, I think a lot of that is just age. Like I said, the 30s, the 40s, the building years, little kids, you know, maybe calm wasn't available to me then.
Yeah.
Maybe feeling good in my skin just wasn't on offer yet. I
Huh.
had to go through some things in order to attain that. And gratitude, the word gratitude gets thrown around so much that I sort of hate to use
Yeah.
it. But my gratitude is beyond that I do get to sit in this life and enjoy it. I was telling somebody yesterday that I have a husband, I have two kids, I have all the things I've ever wanted. And for me to not savor that would be criminal. It would be
Mm,
ungrateful. And so not only am I savoring it, but I am just, I could have been one of those ladies in prison. I drove drunk. I did terrible things. Life can go
yeah.
sideways in a heartbeat. And so my gratitude is real. Really real.
Yeah. And so then I want to ask, like, now I'm kind of getting into my morbid curiosity of, so like this thing with the prison, and you talk about, you flashback, I drove drunk, I fucked people over, I did these things that I wish I hadn't done. Is this, and working with the women incarcerated, like I have this thing, I tell folks, and I believe it to be true. I don't know if it's true for everyone, but shame lives in darkness. You put light on that shit, and that eliminates a lot of the shame. Is
Yeah.
this part of your healing? Is this helpful for you? Like getting past? I don't know if it's shame. I'm putting words in your mouth. I don't want to do that.
Well, listen,
Um,
a life as an alcoholic, there's plenty of shame to go around.
yeah,
With or without losing my job, with or without anything, just being a drunk, first you're ashamed that you're drunk, then you're ashamed that you can't control it, then you're ashamed that you what you did last night, then you're ashamed that the embarrassment on your family. There's a lot of shame. So uh, does going into prison alleviate that? I mean, it's nice to have a new focus. It's nice to not be in prison myself. But it's separate. I think it's separate. I think it's a different pursuit. The offloading guilt and shame has been a process that I undertake in so many different ways. Somatically, uh, because I think guilt and shame also lives in your muscles, in your body.
yeah,
So learning to regulate those energies, learning to put it into context, meaning alcoholics have a disease. It is a disease.
yeah,
You're not angry at yourself for getting cancer. You're not angry at yourself for breaking your foot. So to look at alcoholism like that, like, okay, this is a disease that has terrible social implications. So it's not a good one. You didn't ask to have it. You didn't want to have it. Now, the tricky part comes in when if you are of sound enough mind and body that you can muster the strength to go into recovery, then it turns out that the cure for this disease is your choice. So the disease is not a choice, but getting better is. But I do need to follow that up by saying that if you are so in the throes of your addiction, you can't just like decide and then be over
yeah,
it. Like that's not how it goes. And I'm definitely not saying that, but I'm saying what a motherfucker this disease is because you don't ask to have it, and ultimately only you can unhave it.
yeah, yeah. And I want to. This is kind of a side note. but I struggled with a dear friend of mine, lifelong friend that went through it. This was in our adult life, and I remember at my house I had a mudroom in the back that had a refrigerator. It was like an industrial refrigerator, clear door, and it was all drinks. Like there was beer and wine and all the stuff in there. And I was going to work one morning, and I had just talked to him. It was like 7 a.m, and he was not sober. And I remember walking by that refrigerator, and I stopped and I looked at it. I was like, I could just start drinking right now, but I'm different than him. I don't have that desire. And that gave me, not the empathy, but then I had the understanding. I'm like, I know he doesn't want to do this. I know he doesn't want to. And people say it's a choice. I just, pursuant to what you said, I don't struggle with it, and I can't buy that. I can't buy that it's a choice.
Right. So my best girlfriend's father was an alcoholic, and when I was running this choice thing by her the other day, she said, she thinks of alcoholism like cancer. You have stage 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and that determines how treatable it is. She said, because when my dad was there dying with his stage 4 alcoholism, I know he wouldn't choose booze over us. He was incapacitated to make that choice, right? So the alcoholic doesn't have a choice until they do, right? So it's like, that's the, unfortunately, like I just keep saying the same thing over and over again. It's too bad that you have to depend on yourself. You have to depend, whether it's your higher power or your whatever, sooner or later, you got to screw up the courage and the strength to go into recovery if you don't want to keep fucking up your life and everyone who loves you. But it's not easy to do that.
Yeah, but that's where you come in, right? I mean, that's your
trying.
thing. Yeah.
Trying. My main message with recovery is that there's not just one way to do it. You don't have to go to AA. You don't have to go to traditional recovery. You can find out what works for you. The key is finding out what works for you and then sticking to it, right? But I don't think that there's any one way to do it. And I didn't visit AA for the first 10 years of my sobriety because I didn't think it fit me. It seemed too rigid. Okay. And what a shame that it kept me out for all that time. And it is rigid, but it's rigid that has helped millions and millions and millions of people get and stay sober. So okay, I am all about it.
So now I have to ask you this, and I know I interrupted you, but that's the puppy coming out. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Was that your excuse? AA is too rigid. I'm not going to go to that. Was that an excuse to find a reason not to go?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't drinking, so so there's a term in that a lot of alcoholics love called a dry drunk, which means you've stopped drinking, but you haven't addressed the underlying root cause of your addiction.
Okay.
And I sort of take exception with that because it is really hard to stop drinking. When you love it more than anything, when you feel like it's your only best friend, when it's part of your identity, it is really hard. So in my book of recovery, if that's all you can muster, then just stop drinking. Just stop drinking. That's okay. I'm not going to label you a dry drunk because dry drunk implies that you're not doing work. Well, it is fucking work to stay sober. And if for whatever reason you don't like to do AA, okay. And by the way, how come alcoholics have to do all this work and become better people? People who aren't addicts don't have to do a deep dive for someone else to not call them a slur like a dry drunk, Right. So anyway, so the way I approach sobriety is, so like I said, I'm sober from alcohol, but not from weed. Weed was never a problem for me. Never. Yeah. But I've heard people say, oh, well, you can call yourself sober. Well, fuck you, because I am sober from alcohol. And alcohol was the thing that was ruining my life and my family's.
You know what that reminds me of? No, you don't know what that reminds me of because you don't know my history. That was a dumb question. That reminds me of yeah, you're sober, but you're not sober the way I want you to be.
That's right.
It's I lived in Decatur, in Georgia for a long time. The way I would describe the little, and it was a little neighborhood that I lived in. The way I would describe it was, um, we're, we're all completely open, and we love diversity. And as long as your idea of diversity is the same as my idea
Yeah,
of
yeah,
diversity,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
that's
Right,
what this
we're all
sounds like.
good.
That's a dry drunk is a horrible thing to say. I've never heard that term. I don't think that's horrible.
Yeah. Well, you've probably heard California sober.
Um,
So California sober means that you indulge in marijuana, but not alcohol.
okay,
So again, why this needs to classify, it puts people down.
yeah,
And I don't, not for me. I don't like that. Another thing that can be hard with some very orthodox recovery people is that they say that you shouldn't take prescribed meds.
yeah,
And, motherfuckers be dying out there without their meds. And
right,
so I don't understand that. It's the way I feel about a lot of restrictive religion. I'm a deep spiritual believer, so I don't have to justify this to anybody. But when it's made up, right? It's man-made. It's made up.
oh yeah,
Religion is made up.
control. It's
So
control.
right, it's control. So like, it's out of the mind of one person. So here's how I came to feel this way. I have OCD. OCD is a crazy thing. I'm more in control of it now, but as a kid, it used to really run roughshod over my brain. Your thoughts are funky, and you feel like you can't do X, Y, or Z. You have to touch this, and you have to pick that, and you have to. But anyway, it's very restrictive. And then I started learning about religions, other religions, and thinking, oh my God, some other crazy person with OCD or something worse came up with the idea for religion and made it, and now all you people are getting run to the ground. I mean, look at like Rajneesh, look at Sea Org, what's his name? L. Ron Hubbard, I mean, they just like came up with stuff because they
Yeah,
too have crazy ass minds. So I don't put a lot of stock in things that are man made necessarily, although we need them, right? We need them. We need religion. We need structure. We need order. We need things. And I'm
right.
not putting down anybody who believes in them. I'm just saying I got a glimpse into what I think is the origin of a lot of religions through my own crazy OCD adult brain.
Right. Yeah, I don't begrudge it. Like I love the structure. I think the structure is great. That provides structure. It's a good place to show your kids that oh, well, this is good and this is not. But oh man, this is like it's about as far as I can get with it.
I
Um,
don't believe any human needs any other human to get them to God.
yeah, we're cut from the same cloth there for sure. Um, does soberness ever feel like something that keeps you distracted or maybe even keeps you sober? I suspect it helps, right?
It helps a lot. So, as a broadcaster, I feel like a funnel for information, just a channel for information, meaning a story comes, someone, my interviewee tells me a story, and all I'm thinking about is how to then present it to the world, how to most clearly get this message out. Never stopping down to think, oh, maybe that message is for me. And so with soberness, I started the show thinking about the work it could do for other people who were trying to get sober. Stupidly not realizing, what about you, dumbass? You're sober, like this could help you too. And then we had two early guests who really turned it around for me. One was Dr. Drew, who was
Yeah.
talking about the brain chemistry and the science behind it. And the other was DMC, Daryl McDaniel from Run DMC. And the way he talked about guilt and shame. Anyway, those two guests and their stories started to move the needle for me. And it has changed my recovery quite a bit. And even this conversation like this, I'm learning stuff from you, and I'm now able to take that into the rest of my world. And so it helps keep me, I don't know, there's a term, on the beam, or I don't know, it helps keep me involved in my sobriety. Because like I said, my inclination is to just not really think about it, just keep go, go, go. And this
Yeah,
allows me
yeah.
to be more immersed in it.
Yeah, it keeps you present in it. I
Yeah.
think is what it sounds
Yeah.
like. That's what I'm hearing anyway.
Yeah, which is, by the way, that's why a lot of people go to church, right? They want to stay present with God.
Yeah.
That's why people, will go for hikes. They want to stay present with nature. And so, this, I get all the inclination to do all those things. And this show for me has allowed me to maintain a sober state of mind. And sobriety, by the way, is not just substances or things that are outside of us. It is emotional sobriety. I have a very bad temper, and I can dysregulate easily, and I've been fighting that my whole life. But it is a big part of sobriety. Now that I am clear-headed enough to be able to combat that temper sometimes, um, I must, and that is my emotional sobriety, and it's what I work on all the time now, because you can put down a drink, you can put down a drug, but you can't put yourself down.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Um, so one thing that comes to mind, like I come from the ultra marathoner world where a lot of people
Oh,
they
my
get
favorite. I
yeah.
did ultras. I love it. That's where the crazies live.
That's
The
what I was
best.
just about to say. Yeah, but a lot of people use it as an escape, right? They were
Of course, they're
alcoholics.
running from themselves.
Yeah, yep. So I see this, I see that glorification of busy, or they run, they go run to escape something. But I also see that in high performers, like people like you, a high performer, and anyone that's listening. How would you like? How do we know? How do we know people that are similar? The difference between being passionate about something and being avoidant. Like you're
Does it
passionate about
matter?
soberness. I get it. Did you say does it matter? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
that's what I said.
Yeah, because I don't know. Does it matter?
I mean, everything's motivated by something,
Yeah, I guess you're right.
right? There is no pure, there's no passion generally without meaning. And if meaning for you is feeling, whether it's sober or powerful or whatever the thing is that's motivating you to do this other thing and perform at a high level, okay.
Then there it is. Yeah, because none of us are completely altruistic, right? We want something out of it.
Even just feeling good about
Right.
ourselves,
Then that's getting
and
something. Then that's yeah.
yes, and why is the standard selflessness? Like, oh, if it's not selfless, it's not valid. If it's not without motivation, it's not valid. Like, who came up with that,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that.
right? Just something to think about.
Right. Yeah, because any of us, I have this thing that I call like the world camera. That's my phrase for it. That deep, deep, deep down in your core, in your soul, somewhere, the truth is known. There is truth, and for you to say, I am doing this completely selflessly, I would call bullshit on that like 99% of the time. I don't know how.
Well, just by you saying it shows that it's not selfless because you're aware of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. What's the what's the hardest part about being present? Because you seem like you've really kind of lettered now in being present in your life. What's the hardest part?
Boredom.
Really?
Hmm. I get easily. I have a short attention span as well. Actually, more than anything, I'm afraid of being bored. Once I dive into whatever it is I'm present for, I'm generally fine. But it's I still, listen, after 12 years of sobriety from alcohol, I still case most situations by going, boy, that would be a lot more fun if I had a glass of champagne or a whiskey on the rocks.
Right.
I'm afraid of being bored. I'm afraid of being alone with my own thoughts. I'm afraid of being exposed in my presence, by my presence. So, but it doesn't matter. I still have to push through it. If
Yeah.
I'm going to be bored at a kid's softball game, then I'm going to be bored.
Yeah.
And really, the truth is, I never really get bored. It's more about being afraid of being alone with my thoughts.
Mm. Um, so when you want to escape now, what does that look like? Is that THC?
Um, no, because THC is turned into like a teacher more than an escape. I
Okay.
don't, it's not a party drug for me.
Ah.
It's a reflective
And what do you
tool.
do? Gummies? Like what's your?
Gummies. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know how to smoke. I don't inhale things. I don't know how. I'm just like, I wish I did. Yeah, no,
Right.
I love the gummies. Um, I love the gummies, and I applaud the people who are doing it legally, and I would like to support the local businesses. But really, what my escape is I scroll fashion on Poshmark.
Okay.
I like the colors, the details, the craftsmanship, and so I will come up with a brand that I used to love or that I love now or whatever, and I just scroll and it's hours can go by, and but I love it. It's very meditative for me. And I do, for me fashion is art and and I like to see what people are up to. So that's my escape.
That's so funny. I tell you what just hit me is as you're saying I scroll and I could go for hours. I hear people going, "Oh, that phone's bad for you." And then I thought, "Well, you go through an art museum for hours. Like there's
Hmm.
no different."
Right, so
Um
judgy, right? Yeah.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah. Yeah. Are you a control freak? Like, in that sense.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
It's a
I
horrible. I gave you a horrible connotation, but I didn't
no.
know how else to ask that question.
Okay, so there's two answers. I mean, it's the same answer, but so I'm not a control freak in terms of like if we were going out to dinner and you wanted to go to the A&W burger joint
Hmm.
and I really wanted pizza, but I could see you really were, I would go with it. I don't need to, it doesn't have to be my way or the highway. I like to go along to get along. Like if the check comes and I've only had water and everyone else had 5 course meals, I'm still paying my share because I don't want to, have to like slice and dice the bill. So I'm not a control freak in terms of that. But I think in my life, I have created it to be the way I want it, and I work hard to preserve that. Is that a control freak, or is that just wanting what I want and figuring out how to get it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll tell you the real teacher here, though, is my children. I cannot control them. They are who they are. And not that they're out of control. I just mean
No, no,
they
I
are who they
understand.
are.
I believe me, I
So,
understand. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. How old are your kids?
18 or 2018 and 16.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have a 16 and a 13,
Okay.
and they're boys, and they're the best.
Yeah.
And but they are who they are, and I am desperate for them to be different in certain ways on a surface level. I wish they were on their phone so much. I wish they had more. I wish they were chattier. I wish they were blah blah blah. But in real life, I'm just so happy that they're healthy and loving and anyway. But the point is, I can't control who they like. One of them I don't like their friends. The other one I don't like who's online. But what can I do? I can't.
Right.
What am I going to turn our house into a prison and say you can't see who you want, you can't wear what you want, you can't do what you want? No way. I didn't wait this long to have a family just to make them miserable on
Right.
purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was and you did not say this, but I'm assuming like there was kind of a rebuild of your life. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, well, you never said it, and I have a question
Yeah,
around that. So,
I don't really think of it that way. I don't. When people say
okay,
starting over, I don't really look at it that way. What I experienced was a life I worked very hard to have.
hmm,
I had it. It went south, but the next day was just a continuation. It wasn't
yeah,
a fallback. And I I take my life pretty seriously in that I'm grateful to have it. And as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't about to let it be over because of some corporate decisions. I wasn't
right,
gonna do that. So was it a rebuild? No, I cast about for a long time trying to figure out what the fuck I was gonna do with the rest of the hours of my life. And
yeah,
that you know, it wasn't pretty, but I tried a lot of stuff. I was active, I was out there, I was doing things. Like I started a nonprofit. Um, I learned how to be a mediator and a restorative justice, and I did a lot of stuff to try to figure out where I fit.
Right.
So, and all of those things weren't not part of it, meaning I just added arrows to my quiver of being a human on this planet. I didn't, I don't look at my life like it burned down and I had to rebuild it. Um, it's just another season, it's
Yeah.
just another season.
Yeah.
And, and does everything happen for a reason? I have no idea. But, but I think we assign the reason retroactively. And uh, I see very clearly how all the experiences and it was awful, by the way. Losing my job was awful. Not knowing who I was awful. Not feeling like I could get another job was awful. I mean, it was all awful. But I see now the value in each of the hard days, and each of the days of questioning, and each of the days of not knowing what's next. So it doesn't feel like a rebuild. It feels like a deepening. I'll tell you, it deepened my relationship with my family. I was pretty full of myself before. And so I don't think I gave the people around me the credit for being as awesome as they are. And this really once it, yeah, it allowed me to stop and look at them and appreciate them. So that's not a rebuild. It's just a continuation of the promise I made when I had a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. And that to me, that's the success for me. That piece of
Yep.
it. That's how success is measured in my world, like in my tiny
Yeah.
little
All our worlds are
supplement.
tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, is there any part like of the old cat that you grieve or miss, like or do you miss getting fucked up or any of that?
That's a great question. That is a great question.
I thought it was when
Um,
I thought about it, I thought it was a terrible question. So thank you, but I'm
no,
so
no, it's a great
curious.
one. Yeah, no, it's a great one. I will tell you this. One thing I'm missing a little or that I'm mourning a little, is the gusto with which I used to launch into crazy ass ideas. I
Oh,
am legend for having wild ass ideas and then putting in the work to make them happen. And sometimes it's worked out and sometimes it's not. And I recently had a big it didn't work out, which was so we have this little nonprofit where we purchase uh, distressed waterfront properties around New York City. We hire formerly incarcerated people to help us renovate them, and then we make the houses available to Section 8 government housing vouchers. And on this particular property that we have, I thought a great way to expand our offerings would be to add Airstream trailers, because I love Airstream trailers and I've had a few before and I knew it was just going to be a great way to go. And so we purchased a couple, we got them all sited. They were there for a couple of years before I heard that, in fact, it is illegal to have trailers in New York City. And no amount of fighting it was going to happen. And I was this close to my dream of a little Airstream community of ex cons, and it was not to be. And when we finally sold that last Airstream and it went rolling off our lot, I thought, I think I'm out of the crazy ass idea business for a minute. And that's the end of an era for me, because my whole world has been built on crazy ass ideas. Now, that being said, I just feel that way today. In a
right.
week, I might be chasing down the next crazy ass idea.
Yeah.
But I think I owe it to my husband to give it a minute. And and so I miss that. I miss the like, let's just do it, that feeling, because now I'm chastened, right? I'm older. I see that there's not everything can work out.
Yeah. Um, I touched just a little bit about shame, and you say things out loud, maybe they don't seem so big. There's no, shame only lives in darkness, kind of thing. Is there any truth or anything about cat that you're still learning to say out loud that's a struggle?
Yeah. Yes. And I won't be saying them out loud here. Um, but But I will say that a very big help to me in my life when I have things like that has been the use of plant medicine in ceremonies. And I have a few things at the top of my list right now that are sort of not going away as issues that I would like to. So I am thinking about doing that again and working with plant medicine to try to wash out some of the dead stuck energy that's in there.
Yeah, you got to go after it though, right? You got to go get it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, but when you're ready, it comes.
So going back, like to your just to be funny here, going back to your trailer park dream. Tell me more about that nonprofit. If people want to help, like how do they find that? That's fascinating.
Thank you. It's called restorative housing.org. That's our website, restorative housing.org. I so believe in the power of the water to heal. And I'm so white and Jewish and guilty that I had to start something to share this incredible thing that's happened to us by being able to live here in Coney Island by the beach. So, and when I prayed on it and I was wanting to know who I should tailor this for, who could benefit the most from living and working by the water. And it was definitely people who spent a bunch of time living in cages. And so that's where our commitment to the formerly incarcerated population came from. And then in terms of renting the houses out to people with Section 8 vouchers, it's pretty hard to find a waterfront spot in most cities. And
Yeah.
so to find one with a housing voucher is unusual. And, if you head over to our website, there's a little video on the front page that the looks on the faces of the people who get the houses and the formerly incarcerated dudes who get to live on the property for the life of the project. Um, it's so thrilling to me because it's fun to share, right? It's fun to share the good things in our lives. And I've gotten to share this really great, most centrally great thing in my life with a lot of people because of this nonprofit. And so um, I love it very much. It's hard. I'm not a fundraiser by nature. And we are going to need to raise some funds because real estate in New York is not cheap.
Right.
And, I know other organizations that do housing related things where they go into neighborhoods where houses are $30,000 in cash. They're burned out, they're whatever. And that's not how it is here in New York.
Yeah.
So I am going to have to do some fundraising in 2026. Uh, but I've taken the idea this far. And so I believe it has earned the right to live, right? And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
I need to at least try. So this is a crazy ass idea, right? It is sort of a crazy ass idea. So there you go. I'm not out of the business after all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that's a
It's
little
weird.
crazy. Like waterfront property, all of the entire East Coast is insane expensive, and
Yes,
you're in the prime area.
it's true. But New York is really a series of islands. People don't think about it. It's a water town. And so there's a lot of weird little watery neighborhoods that Manhattanites don't give two fricks about. So it's not like I'm stealing a house. I'm not taking a house that a really rich person would have otherwise. I'm taking
Right.
houses that are modest and lovely. I mean, I think our houses are lovely.
Yeah.
That, you know,
Um. So where can people find more about you, about what you're doing with incarcerated women? Where would you send them? Because it's fascinating to me. We've only scratched the surface.
well, I don't talk about the prison stuff that much because it's not really my stories. It's really their stories. And I'm, like I said, just today is my first day of school. So I'm really just getting to that. But soberness is soberness.com. And that's really where it's all happening. Soberness.com and restorative.org are really my two main jams. Um, and then please listen in because
Yeah.
I share a lot of my story, like I said, on the show. So
Yeah, and
if
there's a
anyone's
link to the
interested, that's
podcast
where.
on soberness.com, right? It's right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some good episodes on there. Thank you for being like honest and vulnerable and making it easy to ask questions that sometimes are difficult to ask. So I appreciate that.
Oh, you're awesome, or you're a real pro.
Thanks for telling the truth, except for that. I don't know if that's the truth.
It is the truth.
But the clarity, the clarity, the realities of addiction. I mean, it is a sickness, and if you don't have it, you don't know it.
That's right.
Um,
That's right. And also, who else doesn't know it? Sometimes people have been sober a really long time and they forget how hard it is in the trenches.
yeah,
So I think it's important to keep having the conversation to remind people that this is an affliction. It's not a wanton choice.
yeah. All right, Kat. This has been great. Thank you so much, and
Thank you so much.
thank you for listening to All Can No Can't. I've been your host, obviously Jeff Luther. If this episode resonated with you, hit follow so you never miss another one. Take care of yourself, and if someone needs to hear this, be kind enough to forward it on. Thank you. Thanks for listening to All Can No Can't. If today's episode resonated with you, remember it's not about the chaos you face. It's about how you choose to take back control. It's about finding that one small can in the can't you're given and grinding it down. Find your angle, carve your place out in the world, and get the fucking win. Do that by finding what you can do and not listening to what you can't. You choose. Be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support helps me reach more people that are ready to embrace the all-can mindset. And it lets them know there's someone that's willing to walk with them no matter how dark the path gets. You can find me on Insta at JDLuther 2.0 and allcan_no-can't. This is where I share more tips, stories, inspiration to help fuel your journey. And until next time, keep pushing boundaries, breaking limits, proving to yourself that anything is possible, even when you're told it isn't. Remember, life's not about can't. It's all can. Go prove them wrong.